that going. Good evening, everyone. Live or on demand. It's another evening with Ricardo. I have my coffee. It's very hot. I don't know if the 4K is showing the fragrance there, the smoke coming off. But got my decaf coffee. Hope you got your decaf coffee as well. It's time for Coffee with the Cowbell. I am your host with the most, Ricardo Wilkins, resident Teams geek, hoping that all is good in the hood with you. Glad you could join me for another session where we geek out on Teams in the not the wee evening, but it's the evening hours. Unless you're on the West Coast, then it's the early evening. And either way, happy that you joined. So, I'm sure you're anxious to know what are you going to talk about today, Ricardo. Why did you make me come sit here at 9 p.m. Eastern? Well, I will talk about whatever you want to talk about if you would like to put something in the chat. I am trying to monitor that on the 5 different platforms that I am currently streaming to. And so if my software works correctly, if you do have something, I will hopefully see it. And if I see it, I will respond accordingly. So feel free to hit up the chat as you see fit. But with that being said, I was thinking about, what we could talk about today together about Teams. And I usually always pull from things I've done in the day over the week since we last got together, you and I. And so what I was thinking about today was just some of the meetings I've been in, which is quite a few, some of them large. And some of the tips and tricks that I use in meetings that not all of them are necessarily, in the, steps you would see in the documentation per se. It's just kind of my tips and tricks that I use for different situations. So I thought I'd go through a few of those. And so, in fact, let me switch over to a tenant here. And I'm going to start here. This is my government tenant, but it's also my Windows 11 demo environment. And the reason I'm starting here is because you may not be aware Windows 11's got a cool feature related to meetings. So let's fire up a meeting and try out some things. Okay. Just my typical Meet Now experience here. Of course, my demo environment doesn't have a mic. That should be okay. What I wanted to show though, so sharing, we know that, let me make this bigger. We know that there's a sharing button there. I can hit that. I can share in several ways, share the screen or one of the several monitors. If you saw my cowbell from 2 weeks ago, I don't know. I have multiple monitors. So this, on my PC, it shows like 4 different things. Anyway, you can show your screens or your monitor. You can show certain windows that are open on the PC at the time. Share a whiteboard, share PowerPoint through PowerPoint Live, which I highly recommend. So forth and so on. But what is cool to me, if you notice my cursor down here, I'm just opening up a browser here. Can I make this bigger? Let me see. I don't have my zoom on this thing. Down below, if you look carefully, you'll see that I've hovered over one of the apps in my taskbar, and it has a share this window button. So again, what mere mortals normally do is hit the share button and choose. In Windows 11, I just go down to the window I want to share and hit share this window. Now it's saying share. And I've now started sharing that window. Here's my presentation controls up top. And you can see if I go back to the meeting, the sharing has begun. You can see stop sharing there. So I have initiated a share of that window down here now. And you can see there's a stop sharing button for when I'm ready to stop. And so that in and of itself is cool. That's, simplifies the process. What's extra nice, though, is that even as I'm sharing, in this case, this browser, when I'm ready to share the second thing, like let's say I have this File Explorer open, it has a share button as well. So again, I'm already sharing the browser. Now I share this window, and you see the red line go around it. I very quickly shifted sharing. Anybody that shared a lot, and if you didn't know this was there, you are probably already as thrilled as I am, right? And that that normally doing what we just did involves stop sharing, share, go find the next window, File Explorer, and start sharing again. So a much more seamless experience there, far fewer clicks, a little more intuitive too. Go, find the window, the thing I want to share, and, hit the sharing button. What is also, let me stop sharing here. Let me go put this there. Let's try that one more time. Share this window, share. What's also nice there, if you noticed, it might be hard to see what has happened, or actually what has not happened here. What has not happened is that my meeting window didn't minimize when I started sharing, like it would if I did it the normal way. Share, go to a window. Now it minimizes. And if you watched my sessions in the past, I've always given a tip that no, you don't have to live with not being able to see what's going on in the meeting window. You can click that and bring it back. All is well. But that sharing option from the tray is yet again one less click for someone like me who does want to bring this window back and see the full fidelity of who's on video and what's going on in the chat and all that good stuff. This little feature really takes care of a bunch of things. It eliminates a bunch of clicks. It's a little more intuitive, given that I'm going to the thing I want to share and then hitting the share button versus searching through a bunch of windows. I am eliminating clicks for changing sharing, and I'm also keeping that window up, which is probably a little more intuitive for those who never really even realized that window was minimized. So a lot of cool stuff with that. And so I use that often. It's my preferred way of sharing these days. And so, if you're on Windows 11, which hopefully you are, especially given the new updates rolling out as we speak, I think. Yes, Windows 11 is good. And now you know why, because of that share button. So, that's not really like a Ricardo secret tips and tricks kind of thing. That's just good old fashioned info about Windows 11, I guess. So that's good stuff there. Let me switch over to another tenant here and fire up a meeting here too. So let's and go. Let's go here. Let's hit meet now. Start. Fire up our meeting. Join. All that good stuff. All right, we got a meeting going. So we talked about sharing, and now this environment is Windows 10, so we're not getting those fancy share buttons. But it's okay. What other tips? So I hear you asking me right now, Ricardo, what other tips and tricks do you have for when you're in a meeting? I'm glad you asked. So one, actually, I think I did this today, actually, in a meeting. You're in a meeting and you need to step away. There's a couple ways to, a couple types of etiquette you could use to step away. One, which I don't know if I can pull up quick enough, is to do what my buddy did live on one of our weekly webinars, where he put a stuffed animal on his chair and a sign that said "out for coffee" and literally just walked off the screen. That's on my if you're following Teamwork Cowbell on TikTok, that is on there. That got a lot of hits. Again, one day I'll be good enough to when I say something like TikTok, and then have my little TikTok, on the bottom of the screen. I'm not there yet. So anyway, but yeah, that's one way to do it, to go off the meeting by doing something on screen funny like that. The other thing I see people do is obviously come in and chat and put BRB, and then they'll say, back when they're back. Another way, though, is to put yourself on hold. And you would say, well, I've been in the menu, Ricardo. I don't see any on hold. And in fact, there isn't right here in the desktop. If you're, excuse me, if you're in this meeting in a mobile phone, and I'm not prepped to show a mobile experience, but there is a hold or on hold button in the mobile. So if you're joining a Teams meeting through your mobile device, you can put yourself on hold with a button click. I don't know why it's not in the desktop version, but it isn't. At least not today. But on the mobile, it's very easy to put yourself on hold. So, and then you'll get a resume button. And what the people see while you're gone is, yes, you stay in the meeting, but they do see that you're on hold. I think it says on hold right next to you. So you'd be like, well, that's cool. That's a cool way to go off and let people know that I'm there and I not have to type BRB. I wish we could do that in a desktop. And so even though there isn't this option in the desktop, here's the trick I use to go on hold during a meeting. I just join another call. And it doesn't have to be a call, like a real call. I just make a fake call. Here's my meet now. I'll even call this too, just to make the distinction. And I join it. And I'm really only joining it as we go here. I'm only joining it in order to get this on my original call. On hold with a resume button. I'm not doing anything in this meeting. I'm like, I literally just to go on hold. So that's how I do it. And in fact, I don't fire up a new message. I typically have an old call, like either with myself or it would have to be with myself. It's a call that I can just jump into that's old, where I know nobody else will jump into it. And that's, I guess I have that because I do so many demos with my own personas. I have that sitting, waiting to just join. But if you don't have a call of one sitting in your chat area, just fire up a new one. And that's how I get my on hold. And then I can resume, and then I'm back in. And of course the other one is on hold. And technically, if I'm doing a lot of on hold, I could just leave this there ready to resume again, and back and forth and so on. I don't typically do that though. That's my little trick for going on hold, given that there is no on hold in the desktop version, and I don't often join meetings through my mobile. I will say I have tried to join a meeting on my mobile as a secondary device, which of course works, but using on hold doesn't put both devices on hold, which probably makes sense. It puts the mobile device on hold anyway. I guess though what I could do is join on a mobile device, then that's a lot of work. Drop from the desktop, and then put myself on hold. That's a lot of work. So anyway, my friend Dan is in the chat. And so, hey, Dan, he says Windows 11 on a Surface Studio and looking forward to the Surface Event 10. So I don't know, Dan, if you're telling me you got a Surface Studio with Windows 11 on it. That's nice. For those that don't know, the Surface Studio is the big monster, the big beast with the touch screen and all that good stuff. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. So yeah, good deal. And yeah, this is Surface event coming on October 12th. Good deal. Thank you, Dan, for that. Awesome. So yeah, let me resume here. All right. So yeah, so that's being on hold in a meeting. Other tips and tricks from my meeting experience. This one, I don't know. It's one for me. So we got reactions here. Of course, you clap, and it's going to be hard to show here without really another person in. But you typically, you hit the reaction button, you're going to get the applause, and if so, like someone's sharing or sharing some content, I'll hit clap. It'll put a clap up, and of course, if there's lots of people in the room that are clapping, that's when you get that whole wave of claps or hearts or whatever it may be. But again, it's not going to show well in this demo, but you can kind of smash this button like multiple times and actually get multiple claps or hearts or thumbs up just being one person. So I can basically fake a huge crowd of applause for someone's presentation by just smashing away at that button. So that's what I like to do, because I just like seeing lots of the claps or hearts or thumbs up going up the screen. So a friend of mine showed me that one. So I don't know that I would. Well, yeah, I guess I would smash on the laugh or the surprise. Maybe not the surprise, but I could. I typically do it on the applause. Having a lot of them on the other ones seems like that might be a little much. Awesome. Okay. So what else do I do in meetings? Let me see here. Let's not go there yet. Of course, if you've watched any sessions, you know that this isn't really a trick, but it's just a really good best practice is, especially if you got large meetings, to just be in here and manage your meeting options. I'm in a lot of large meetings, and I just really don't understand a lot of times why people who are hosting 200 and 300 folks in a meeting don't come in here and turn these things off. Because you can turn them on as soon as you need them again. And so this just keeps me from having to tell one of 300 people to turn off their mics and all of that good stuff. I'll just disable it while I'm presenting, right? Turn it back on when it's time for some interaction. But given that people don't do that, what you may have seen happen is you're in a meeting with lots of folks and there is some background noise, but you're wondering who's making the noise, especially if you're helping to run a meeting. Someone's presenting, you want to go mute, because you guys know you can go to someone and turn on mute on them. So you want to know who's talking. I got to scroll through. I got to find out who's talking, whose little circle is going, is getting blue or whatever. So I'll know that they're talking. So I'll know to mute them, or whose mic is not on mute, all that good stuff. And so sometimes you can. With a lot of people, sometimes it's hard to figure it out. One trick I have for that is, you can see here, do I have Zoom on this one? I do. My trick for figuring out which one of you is making a noise is turning on live captions. The reason that works for me, and it's not going to do anything here, obviously. But for every person that's talking, their little bobblehead, their name, and whatever they're saying is going to come up. And so, like, depending on what your background noise is, I'll probably see you pop up in the live caption there. And once I see you and I know it's you, and again, this is a scenario where it's one speaker is supposed to be talking. So anybody I see that's not the speaker showing up in the captions, I know you're the culprit. And so then if this list is long, I can just come in and just type your name, and then it would, show up there, and then I can mute you. So that's my tip. That's a good tip if you're like a meeting organizer or helping run a meeting and you're trying to figure out who the culprit is. Turning on live captions and waiting for their name to pop up, and then you can say, "I got you." So, yes, and thank you for joining on YouTube there as well. I see you in the chat. So that's my other tip for catching people who are making noise in a Teams meeting. All right. Speaking of that caption feature, just since we're talking about it, one update that is, I think, rolling out now is that, we've had live captions, but we now have live captions that can put the captions in the language of your choice. So let's say the meeting is in English, but you're a native Spanish speaker. Turn on live captions, choose Spanish, and it's going to do its best to real time give the captions of this live meeting in Spanish real time. We've actually had that feature in Teams live events for a long time. We've now got it in a regular Teams meeting. And maybe this is another tip too. Live captions, has a lot of uses, accessibility and whatnot. And I use it even when someone's not speaking clearly, maybe, or someone has an accent that for me is hard to understand. Sometimes the AI of this thing is, in the captions, understands what's being said sometimes better than I do. So I will use captions sometimes to complement, what I'm hearing or trying to hear in terms of who's speaking. So you can use live captions for that, which works for me. So that's good stuff there. I had another one I was just thinking about, and I just forgot as I was talking about that one. Live captions. Yep. Okay. And I'm trying to think. Those might have been the big ones that I was, my big tips that I was thinking about. Yeah. And then, okay, one other one. One other one is, and can't show it here. I need more people in the meeting. But this large gallery here, if you can see that, which is grayed out because it enables once there's like 9 or 10, maybe 10 or 11 folks in here. But this goes basically, it defaults to 3x3. This turns it into up to 7x7 or 49 screens. And I will use that anytime I think Teams, for some reason, is not showing me all the videos that are on. And it might, if it feels that that my machine can't handle it. I got a pretty beefy machine, so I don't really have that problem very often. But there has been occasions where I'm like, I know there's another screen on, but it's not showing it to me. To force it, I will go to large gallery, in which it then does show every screen every video that's showing. So that's my way of kind of making sure I see it, because now I'm not going to get that full like high def view. I'm getting that one stream of everything, but at least they're all coming on. The reason I thought of that too is because that is also another thing that is either coming or rolling out now. I can't remember. Today, if I want that up to 7x7 view, I do have to specifically go to large gallery. What's rolling out now is making it happen a little more automatically. So some enhancements coming from there as well. But all that being said, I use that to make sure, in case Teams has decided not to show me all the screens, I force it to show me all the screens by using large gallery. I could do the same with together mode as well. It will essentially, I'm pretty sure that will show me all the videos, but obviously in chairs and whatnot. So that's another tip I use as well. So I'm happy that several of my tips actually allowed me to talk about new features as well. That's always a nice happy accident. But oops, one day I'm going to fix that too. Hopefully though, that was helpful. Again, those aren't the kind of tips that you're going to find in the docs for teams. Those are just the ones I've used over time in meetings that I'm in. You're in enough meetings, you figure out how to get it done. And so those are some of my favorite tips. If you got tips as well, put them in the chat for wherever you're watching or either now or on demand. Love to hear your tips. Love to hear what you think about my tips and tricks as well. All right. So I think we're about at that time. Glad you joined. Glad to see folks in the chat. I had a good time, but it's now time for bed, at least on the East Coast. So I'll probably finish my decaf. Glad you joined me. This has been Coffee with the Cowbell.